there are reports everywhere today about this presidential debate scheduled for September 10th on ABC. Now, this was scheduled between Trump and Biden, and the terms were agreed to between Trump and Biden. And they had apparently all the same rules as the CNN debate between Trump and Biden, where the mics were supposed to be cut. There wasn't supposed to be a studio audience, no notes allowed, no opening or closing statements. And when Harris subbed in as the nominee, there was some back and forth about whether they should renegotiate, and maybe go to Fox, maybe not go to ABC. No, Team Harris wanted it as is. Leave it in place. You already agreed, they kept telling him. And Trump was like, okay, I'll do it. And then you should also do one at Fox. And she, on the night, I think it was of her debate, it was on a newsy night, she just put out a paper statement saying, oh, we won't be doing the Fox debate. I think it might have been Monday night when Biden spoke. Anyway, so she won't do anything on territory she considers even neutral. She will only go to places like ABC where her best friend is the person in charge. So now she's gone back on the ABC debate to say, and I want to change the rules. Now I want open mics while the other person is speaking. And according to Team Trump, she's also saying, and I want it to be a sit down at a desk situation, and I want notes, and I want to be able to do opening statements. Her team's saying that's not true, but that's what Team Trump is saying through a representative. And her team is admitting that they are trying to open up the mics, meaning while one candidate is speaking, the mics would be back open. And the press is running out saying, that's the norm, which it is. They're right, until the Democrats changed the norm. And Trump said, fine, I'll do it your way. And Trump did very well with that situation and realized, I'm sure, hey, this works pretty well for me. I kind of like this. Helps me stay more disciplined. I can just make my point when they come to me. I can control my worst instincts, which is just like jump all over the candidate, and that makes me look better. And so he's like, no, let's stick with the original rules. And her team is out there, and so is the media, saying he's chickening out. And Trump did send out a Truth Social post over the weekend saying, should I do this debate? Are they going to be fair to me? I'm trying to change all the rules. ABC hates my guts. Look at the recent coverage. She's best friends with the person who runs it. Look at Jonathan Karl. Look at this network can't stand me. Look at the woman who asked me that question at the National Association of Black Journalists event. She's an ABCer. Look at ABC News' coverage of Trump and the Trump messaging last week versus how they covered the Kamala Harris message at the DNC. I watched almost all of it. Anyway, the media running cover now saying Trump is the one who's trying to change the rules, and Trump has to answer for this whole mics open thing or not.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work because even somebody on CNN, I watched it, and he said the problem with dealing with the Harris team about interviews is they have all these conditions. And the conditions is somebody going to edit it? And who is going to interview us? And how long is it going to be? And in other words, they haven't experienced that before. And they're now talking about it. And that feeds into this old narrative that whatever it is, it's always a qualification. It's always yes, but maybe, sort of, should have, kind of. And, it's it all shows you, and he said when the CNN person, and maybe I can find it, or your team can, but he said the problem is that they know and I think his direct quote, as I remember, was the worst moments of her vice presidency were when she did unscripted interviews, the worst moment, and they know that. And so they're fixated on that, and that can't be hidden. And everybody knows that. If everybody starts with the premise, which they do now, is that she does not want to give an interview under any conditions, then everything makes sense. The more qualifications, the more backtracking, all of that, the more projecting her reluctance onto Trump. And everybody knows Trump will speak to anybody about anything, anytime, anywhere. He does. He likes that. That's how he made his celebrity career on television. And so that's not gonna fly, that suddenly Trump is getting reluctant to debate her. And so she's going to put up all of these pseudo Trump is hesitant because she's just going to make all these demands. Why would anybody debate somebody when they were sitting down with a notebook? You know what I mean? That's just crazy. That's not if you're going to have notes, then you might as well not debate. I think I've done maybe 100 debates in my life, and not one was I allowed or my opponent allowed to have notes. It just wasn't done. Nobody does that.
Not only that, it would be a horrible debate. Can you imagine when he's like, you were a terrible border czar, and she's like, stand by. Hold on.
Yes.
I was never the border czar. I was addressing root causes. I mean, by the way, on that front, it's so absurd, Victor, because, okay, let's go with that. You had the limited role of addressing root causes of immigration. How'd that go? How'd that work out? Because we have record illegal immigration. So clearly you did not solve the desire from these countries for their people to migrate to America, which was, by your own admission, your job. To the contrary, she's now reinventing herself as a border hawk. Can you deal with the hubris?
And that's exactly why Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and Chuck Schumer had that initial hesitation for 3 or 4 days, because they really did think when they removed Joe on that sort of palace coup that they were going to have an open convention, or at least an open something, because they had grown up with her. They knew her, and they did not want to just anoint her. And then they found out that within 24 hours, that momentum was there, and they were not going to deny a Black woman who was a person in waiting as vice president that opportunity. And so they caved. But they were very wary. And that narrative didn't come from you. It didn't come from me. It didn't come from Republicans or conservatives. That narrative for 3.5 years was, you cannot get rid of Joe Biden. He will not step down because he has a Spiro Agnew insurance policy called Kamala Harris. And even people were speculating on his side. Maybe he picked her. It wasn't so stupid to announce in advance the gender and race of his running mate. Maybe it was smart because she was so inept and she was so unable to speak publicly or in an impromptu fashion that nobody would ever impeach him, impeach him or 25th Amendment or ask him to step down, because the alternative was just like Agnew and Nixon, until Agnew got in legal trouble and stepped down. And so that was the reputation that she had among the kingpins of the Democratic Party. And they know that. And the media knows that too. Everybody knows it. And that's what's getting kind of embarrassing when everybody knows it.
Did you know that there is nearly $1 trillion of infrastructure and pandemic funds yet to be spent? That's right. There's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge. And I'm sure you remember the terrible effects that the first one had on many, many Americans. Still having on many, many Americans. But there's hope. A surge in prices can be beaten. You see, a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group is the ultimate inflation hedge for your savings in uncertain times. To see how to protect your IRA or 401k, get your free info kit on gold by texting MK to 989898. Birch Gold makes it seamless to roll over your retirement account while preserving your tax-advantaged status. Don't wait for the president's spending spree to tank the dollar further. Protect your financial future right now. Text MK to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.